We're back with another Twin Peaks recap. Today we're talking about episode 3. I'm Vince, welcome to Dread Alert. If you like horror movies, be sure to like this video and be sure to give us a follow.
Dread Alert Media.
Today we're talking about Twin Peaks episode 3, otherwise known as Rest in Pain, which is a particularly dark title. This episode starts with Audrey Horne waiting for Agent Cooper in the Great Northern Hotel, where they share a breakfast and Audrey lets him know that she left him the note about One-Eyed Jacks. Sheriff Harry S. Truman and Lucy show up, where Cooper explains his dream that he had the night before, which included things like Mike and Bob and the phrase "Fire Walk With Me." Cooper says he knows who the killer is, he just doesn't remember, and he has to crack the code. Breakfast is cut short when they get word that Albert is fighting with Doc Hayward about releasing Laura's body for her funeral. Sheriff Truman and Cooper show up, where Sheriff Truman punches Albert right in the face because Albert was making some less than polite remarks. We get our second taste of the soap opera Invitation to Love, which is a running theme throughout the series. This informs us on how we should be watching some of these storylines. This does feel like a soap opera, and it's no coincidence that this airs just before Maddie, who is Laura's cousin, shows up, played by the same actor who plays Laura Palmer, Cheryl Lee. We find out that Norma, the owner of the Double R Diner's husband, Hank, is getting out on parole after a few years. Now, she's been having a side affair with Big Ed Hurley. This is not good news for this ill-fated love story, which is my favorite love story in the entire series, to be honest with you. Albert gives his autopsy report to Agent Cooper and Sheriff Truman, where he says they found some plastic in Laura's stomach with the letter J on it. They found drugs in her system, and they found scratches which could possibly be animal scratches. We'll find out that that's a bird. Also soap residue where someone laid her head down. She was also bound up with 2 different types of rope 2 times over the course of her last night. A lot of this episode is spent on how the town is preparing for Laura's funeral. This is hitting hard across the board. Leland crashes out and jumps onto the coffin as it's being lowered and raised and lowered and raised and lowered and raised into the ground. Hell, even the log lady and her log show up. We'll also see Shelley later in the diner making fun of how Leland was jumping onto the coffin. That's just before we see an impromptu meeting of the Bookhouse Boys. Cooper is brought into the Bookhouse Boys' secret society and given the rundown. They protect Twin Peaks from the darkness that lurks in the woods. They also investigate some drug cases, like the drugs that are being brought into Twin Peaks by Jacques Renault and his brothers. Cooper stakes out Laura's grave after the funeral and sees Dr. Jacoby arrive, and Dr. Jacoby says he pretty much doesn't care about his patients, but Laura woke something up in him and made him able to feel again, I guess. I don't know. Dr. Jacoby's a weirdo. Deputy Hawk and Agent Cooper have a sit-down where Deputy Hawk tells Cooper about the multiple souls that the indigenous people believe in, including the dream soul. Meanwhile, Leland continues to spiral, begging everyone at the bar to dance with him, making everyone feel very uncomfortable. If you haven't gotten caught up yet, please do watch along with us. I'm having a blast with this. I hope you are too. And as always, stay spooky, my friends.